Hello, welcome to the Treehouse. I'm looking forward to this time with you today. I want to talk about something that I think is really important for these times. I want to talk to you about returning to the fear of the Lord. You know, I just want to read some notes that I had jotted down while I was thinking about returning to the fear of the Lord. And I wanted to focus on King David today. King David is known throughout Bible history and the scriptures as the man after God's heart. King David also had a great zeal for the Lord God, both as a young shepherd and as the king over Israel. As King David had come to gain the favor of the nation of Israel, and as their godly leader, they recognized, was chosen by God. However, as he became more famous and recognized as the hero of Israel, had he lost the fear of the Lord? He had a zeal for the Lord. Clearly, when you look at the Psalms that he wrote, and when you read the history about David in Second Samuel, First Samuel, Second Samuel, and the Kings books, the First Kings, you can see how he was always consulting with the Lord. He was consulting, and for the most of his life, he was always turning to the Lord. But sometimes we get so familiar with the Lord that we don't seem to have as much reverence or respect, or something with the Lord is missing in terms of really recognizing that He's God and He knows everything, and we are not God and we don't know everything. We hardly know anything compared to God. So let's look at First Chronicles chapter 13. I want to read that chapter to you, and I want you to get an idea about what King David was going through in the early days of being king. First Chronicles chapter First Chronicles chapter 13 reads as follows. Then David consulted with the captains of thousands and hundreds, and with every leader. And David said to all the assembly of Israel, if it seems good to you, and if it is of the Lord our God, let us send out to our brethren everywhere who are left in all the land of Israel, and with them to the priests and Levites who are in their cities and their common lands, that they may gather together to us, and let us bring the ark of our God back to us. For we have not inquired as it since the days of Saul. Then all the assemblies said that they would do so, for the thing was right in their eyes of all the people. So David gathered all Israel together, from Shihor in Egypt to as far as the entrance of Hamath, to bring the ark of God from Kirjath Jearim. And David and all Israel went up to Baalah, to Kirjath Jearim. which belonged to Judah, to bring up from there the ark of God, the Lord, who dwells between the cherubim, where his name is proclaimed. So they carried the ark of God on a new cart from the house of Abinadab, and Uzzah and Ahio drove the cart. Then David and all Israel played music before God with all their might, with singing on harps, on stringed instruments, on tambourines, on cymbals, and with trumpets. And when they came to Chidon's threshing floor, Uzzah put his hand out to hold the ark, for the oxen stumbled. And the anger of the Lord was aroused against Uzzah, and he struck him because he put his hand to the ark. And he died there before God. And David became angry because of the Lord's outbreak against Uzzah. Therefore, that place is called Perez Uzzah to this day. David was afraid of God that day, saying, "How can I bring the ark of God to me now?" So David would not move the ark with him into the city of David, but took it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house 3 months. And the Lord blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that he had. And that ends the chapter 13 in First Chronicles. Now we see that God took action to defend the Ark of the Covenant. No one was to touch the Ark. And we will find that out as we read on. But look at how David became angry and somewhat disillusioned. Do you ever become angry with God because you have this plan and it seems like it's not going your way? It's not going the way you planned. And especially if it's a plan that you believe is for God, if it's something for God and it doesn't go the way you planned, do you ever get angry with God, forgetting that He is God? Well, David eventually realized that his plan that he was doing for God cost the loss of a life. And then when he realized that, when he came to the realization that I'm doing this thing for God, but someone has lost their life from what I am doing, then he feared the Lord. He realized whatever it is I'm doing, something was not pleasing to the Lord, that someone would actually lose their life. And so David then returned to humble submission to seek the Lord, to recognize the Lord knows better than I. In this plan, I really had zeal for the Lord to do this thing for the Lord, but somehow the Lord is not seeing it the way I am. So he wanted to seek the Lord about how the Lord wanted to do this thing, what the Lord wanted in terms of moving the Ark of the Covenant. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at 1 Chronicles chapter 15, because this chapter reveals the change in David's heart because he returned to the fear of the Lord. 1 Chronicles chapter 15, verses 1 through 28 reads, David built houses for himself in the city of David, and he prepared a place for the ark of God and pitched a tent for it. Then David said, No one may carry the ark of God but the Levites, for the Lord has chosen them to carry the ark of God and to minister before him forever. And David gathered all Israel together at Jerusalem to bring up the ark of the Lord to its place, which he had prepared for it. Then David assembled the children of Aaron and the Levites, of the sons of Kohath, Uriel the chief, and 120 of his brethren. Of the sons of Merari, Asaiah the chief, and 220 of his brethren. Of the sons of Gershom, Joel the chief, and 130 of his brethren. Of the sons of Elisaphan, Shemaiah the chief, and 200 of his brethren. Of the sons of Hebron, Eliel the chief, and 80 of his brethren. Of the sons of Uziel, Amminadab the chief, and 112 of his brethren. And David called for Zadok and Abiathar the priests, and for the Levites, for Uriel, Asaiah, Joel, Shemaiah, Eliel, and Amminadab. He said to them, You are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites. Sanctify yourselves, you and your brethren, that you may bring up the ark of the Lord of Israel to the place I have prepared for it. For because you did not do it the first time, the Lord our God broke out against us, because we did not consult him about the proper order. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of the Lord of Israel. And the children of the Levites bore the ark of God on their shoulders by its poles, as Moses had commanded, according to the word of the Lord. Then David spoke to the leaders of the Levites to appoint their brethren to be the singers, accompanied by instruments of music, stringed instruments, harps, and cymbals, by raising the voice with resounding joy. So the Levites appointed Haman the son of Joel, and of his brethren Asaph the son of Berechiah, and of their brethren the sons of Merari, Ethan the son of Cushiah, and with them their brethren of the second rank, Zechariah ben Jaaziel, Shemiramoth, Jehiel, Uni, Eliab, Benaiah, Maaseiah, Matithia, Eliphele, Mikneiah, Obed-Edom, and Jeiel, the gatekeepers. The singers, Aman, Asaph, and Ethan, were to sound the cymbals of bronze. Zechariah, Asiel, Shemarioth, Shemiramoth, Jehiel, Uni, Eliab, Maaseiah, and Benaniah with strings according to Alamoth. Mattithiah, Eliphele, Mikneiah, Obed-Edom, Jeiel, and Azaziah to direct with harps on the Sheminith. Shenaniah, the leader of the Levites, was instructor in charge of the music because he was skillful. Berechiah and Elkanah were doorkeepers for the ark. Shebaniah, Joshaphat, Nathanael, Amasai, Zechariah, Benaniah, Eleazar, the priests were to blow the trumpets before the ark of God, and Obed-Edom and Jehiah, doorkeepers for the ark. So David, the elders of Israel, and the captains over thousands went to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord from the house of Obed-Edom with joy. And so it was when God helped the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord that they offered 7 bulls and 7 rams. David was clothed with a robe of fine linen, as were all the Levites who bore the ark, the singers, and Shemaiah, the music master, with the singers. David also wore a linen ephod. Thus, all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the horn and the trumpets and with cymbals, making music with stringed instruments and harps. And thus was the result of returning to the fear of the Lord. When we rely on the Lord, when we respect the Lord, when we do it His way, in His order, and we have a reverence that we don't want to not do it His way, that we want to honor His way, then the Lord just comes in with all this favor, with all this atmosphere of heaven, and it just brings this joy, and we just experience the glory of the Lord, all because we have a heart postured in the fear of the Lord. So we can learn from David in these passages, and I hope you will give me grace in pronunciation of all the names, because those names were a mouthful. Oh, so in the meantime, seek the Lord, ask Him to renew you and refresh you in the fear of the Lord, to posture your heart to pursue God, to know the way He wants you to do things in your life from sunrise to sunset, that it will be honoring to Him, it will be giving glory to Him before others, and it will also teach others the fear of the Lord. Thank you for joining me in this time in the Treehouse. I pray that it has blessed you and that you will see things from a different perspective in your heart as you gain and return to the fear of the Lord. God bless you.